Welcome to the Black Excellence and Abundance Channel. Did Napoleon's troops shoot the nose off the Sphinx? Or is it only a legend they tell the tourists? The story goes that Napoleon and his troops shot the Sphinx nose with a cannon while they were camped there, which they just raided on the way to Egypt. This was taught in history books as fact. What changed? It is now believed that the damage to the Sphinx nose happened much earlier. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan at the Million Man March stated, "White folk try to write history and write us out." White supremacy caused Napoleon to blow the nose off the Sphinx because it reminded him too much of the black man's majesty. I reiterate, this was actually taught in schools.
One of my questions is, how is it that this information was taught in schools as history, then all of a sudden it was changed? How is it that all of a sudden that became more of a theory than fact? Something sounds fishy to me.
The following is taken from the Encyclopedia Americana, which states, "Over the centuries, the Great Sphinx has suffered severely from weathering. Man has been responsible for additional mutilation. In 1380 AD, the Sphinx fell victim to the iconoclastic ardor of a fanatical Muslim ruler who caused deplorable injuries to the head." Iconoclasm is the destruction of statues, figures, or paintings.
You know, it's very interesting, some of the reasoning that's given by the so-called experts and historians as to why the Europeans did not participate in the destruction of the noses and the lips of the artifacts, the Sphinx, and all the statues in Egypt are as follows. They would write things like, knowing that the Europeans weren't behind this mystery, it is often speculated that this is nothing but merely a work of corrosion. This theory is plausible as the noses of the statues were especially vulnerable because they stuck out and air could affect them the most. Whenever I research history, there are key words that always stick out to me. Key words like speculated and theory, which means it's not a fact. It's someone's opinion.
The theory that does receive the most respect within academia that discusses Egyptian history is that of skeptical and ancient Egyptians' belief in the supernatural. Ancient Egypt was known for having a strict religious paradigm, one which believed that individuals' lives after death were preserved in statues. While they were aware that these statues couldn't move, they believed that people's life force, when they died, were transferred into their respective statues, almost as if they were living beings. To effectively eliminate this life force, the Egyptians believed they had to destroy the statues.
Hence, it is speculated that people who went to rob the tombs of the nobles and pharaohs would break the nose of the statues first to effectively eliminate the life force, as the statues wouldn't be able to breathe. Although religious beliefs are strongly theorized to be the reason behind the smashed noses, there are also political reasons for defacing these statues. In the ancient Egyptian world, the dynasties that came before the current ruling one were often despised and were seen as inferior. Hence, to solidify their dynasty as the superior one, most rulers would have the statues of previous pharaohs and rulers defaced. They further theorize that the causes of broken noses can be attributed to nature and some to the simple human error where the statues were knocked over or mishandled. However, there is one growing consensus within the ancient Egyptian historical academia. The Egyptians were deeply religious people and intentionally broke the statues' noses to avoid the pharaoh's wrath. Many people who have read into the case of missing or defaced noses in Egyptian statues believe it to be the work of European colonialism. It is said that in an attempt to cleanse the statues of their African roots, the noses were broken, as Africans have distinct noses which are their defining features. Historians have critiqued this by pointing logical fallacies that claim that even if the noses were broken off, other features of the statues would still allow for association with their African roots. Features on the statues that weren't broken off. Despite the horrors that colonialism brought upon the world, breaking Egyptian noses is undoubtedly not one of them. Now, that is what the so called historians believe. Now, I'll give you my theory. Wait. Some of the so called historians and writers of histories admit to the horrors that colonialism brought onto the African continent. However, we are to believe that with all of the atrocities that were done to Africa and throughout the world, that they had no hand whatsoever in destroying the Sphinx and all the statues of Egypt. I don't buy that for 1 second. Based on the facts and the destruction that has happened throughout all of the world, and indeed in Egypt, I'd have to say that the colonialists had a big hand in destroying the noses and destroying the images that the Egyptians, the original Egyptians, knew exactly who they were and depicted themselves as such. When you take a close look at the features of the Sphinx and all the other statues, it is obvious that they are black people. Not only that, but biblically speaking, Africa is the land of Ham, which means everyone knows that Ham is black. And yes, Egypt was, is, and always will be in Africa. The pyramids and all of the statues were built by black Africans. And that's my theory. You don't have to accept my theory. You don't have to believe my theory. As we know, theories and opinions are like fingerprints. Everybody has one, and everyone's opinion is just that, their opinion. One thing we know for sure, the writers of history, they were not there. So they're giving you their theory. Do your research and you believe whatever you so choose. The Black Excellence and Abundance channel, where black history is every day. Thanks for watching, and please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And remember, thou art rich.